What up, is Marcus Dynasty Fun Dads? We have Waiver Wire Tuesday. I have a Deandre Swift side jersey. When we hit 2K, we'll be giving it away to one of you guys. So we are going to be going through waiver wires every Tuesday to figure out who we can pick up, because honestly, it is an extremely important part of redraft, and it is an important part about Dynasty, but some of these guys you're not going to be able to get in Dynasty because rosters are 30 people deep, and so a lot of this is going to be redraft, but some of these players are going to be players that are going to be rising in value in Dynasty, at least short-term wise. So let's start with quarterbacks. And really, some quarterbacks that performed well in week one were Carson Wentz, were Matt Ryan, were Jameis Winston, were Marcus Mariota. And so if you're a team that streamed, if you're or a team that lost Dak Prescott, any of these guys should be fine. I mean, I'm honestly not burning my waiver wire priority, or I'm not even, I'm always... if it's fab budget, I'm putting $0 bids in and just getting one of the quarterbacks. I very rarely am I going to actually spend money to purchase a quarterback in fab budget leagues. And if you're new to fab, it's free agent acquisition budget, and you get $100 or $200 a set amount, and once you burn through it, you have no more money, and you can only do $0 claims. And so any of these quarterbacks, there's not a quarterback here that I'm going, oh my goodness, I need to rush out there and get him over any of the other quarterbacks, because there's still even Trevor Lawrence, and there might even be a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance, but really all of these guys are going to be into these quarterback 2 phases. They're going to have quarterback 1 games, they're going to have quarterback 3 games. You just need to figure out what kind of matchups, and that will help. That will be able to, I guess, you'll be able to predict that better as the season goes along. We're still way too early to predict some of these bad defenses or some of these good defenses in that fact as well. So let's go to running backs and wide receivers and tight ends, because that is the cream of the crop. That is where you're going to be burning some of your waiver wire priority or putting bids in. So Jeff Wilson / Tyrion Davis Price, 2 running backs. Now we know Elijah Mitchell has been out for 1 to 2 months. Now, Jeff Wilson, I believe, will be the starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers. But I think that you might see some Tyrion Davis Price as well, which you didn't get to you didn't get to see in week 1. But Jeff Wilson has shown that he has been very capable when he's been a starter, but he's also been very injury prone as a starter as well. So somebody that I would be like, the number 1 waiver priority pickup is probably Jeff Wilson this week. Just looking at it over the wide receivers here, I'm picking Jeff Wilson. Tyrion Davis Price, though, if you're a team that is either already won week 1, so you're later in the waiver wire priority, or you just want a depth piece, a guy that is probably going to be a handcuff, potentially could take over Jeff Wilson, or the San Francisco running back, again, always seems to fail or get hurt. Not fail, always gets hurt. Then I would see Tyrion Davis Price is a very good option. And see who they pick up or see who they elevate after the practice squad and stuff like that. I mean, those are, again, deeper leagues, options where you're going to have 1 or 2% of leagues owning these types of players. And in Dynasty, again, whoever San Francisco has along with these 2 running backs is going to be important as well. So keep that updated on what they're going to do with their roster situation. Another running back that we're going to talk about, and Najee Harris says he feels good. If you're a Najee Harris owner, you need to pick up Jalen Warren. It's just, you have to do it because he is going to be the next man up. I unfortunately had Najee Harris in the league and dropped Jalen Warren and just redraft for a backup tight end because George Kittle was hurt. Yay, George Kittle was hurt. And so I kind of slightly regret it. I'm not, again, spending a ton of money, but I think Jalen Warren is the clear number 2, that we saw that, and he should be rostered in, I would say, a majority of leagues, just because you can have Najee Harris doing great, and all of a sudden in preseason warmups, he goes, my ankle doesn't feel right, my foot doesn't feel right, and all of a sudden it's a Joe Mixon injury of a couple of years ago, where it just seems like this could be one of those injuries where either nags, he gets out certain games, or he becomes a lesser performance of some of these games. So he's one of the top priority pickups. Jeff Wilson, and then Jalen Warren, and then Tyrion Davis Price as well, behind those 2. Khalil Herbert is a guy that you do need another, again, a lot of different handcuffs here, but again, you need to put kind of a little ear. They talked about David Montgomery being poor in the offseason. Khalil Herbert led the team in rushing yards the first week and looked good. Khalil Herbert looked actually really well the part. Now, I know that the previous year it was kind of the Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison thing, where Alexander Mattison would fit in when Dalvin Cook was hurt, and then as soon as Dalvin Cook comes back, Alexander Mattison pushed to the side, very little snap percentage. But this seemed actually to be more of a 60-40 split, 65-35 split, which Alexander Mattison never got to that point. And so Khalil Herbert is an option that if David Montgomery doesn't perform well, that Khalil Herbert could be something. And so again, just a note to think about, or just keep your eye on, maybe not even necessarily a pickup now, or if you're, again, in a deeper league, he needs to be rostered. Players that I'm not picking up, Deandre Hilliard, I'm not picking up him just for the fact that he was very efficient on his touches, and so I'm staying away from him. It was kind of cool to see, but I don't believe in that. And the running back that I have talked about as being one of my last picks in redrafts every time this year was Rex Burkhead, because I figured that Lovie Smith knows what to do best, and that is to put Rex Burkhead, I'm just kidding, he knows what to do worst, I guess you could say. He's going to put the veteran. He's going to put Rex Burkhead, who had the most touches. It just seems to be a focal part of the offense and just frustrates Dameon Pierce owners. So I'm taking Rex Burkhead as an option. He could be a flex play because he's going to be used a ton in the receiving game. And where does Houston feel like they're going to be in these scripts? Probably down in a lot of games. And so that is why Rex Burkhead is one of my favorite pickups as well. So again, if you said, what are your running back options? I'm taking Jeff Wilson 1. Rex Burkhead would be 2, just because he's not going to be as high of a ceiling play because they're going to have Dameon Pierce there. Jeff Wilson could have the entire backfield for 2, 4, 5 weeks and show really well in fantasy. Then it would be Jalen Warren. Then it would be the Khalil Herbert side, and then Tyrion Davis-Price in there as well. Let's talk about wide receivers here. The number one pickup, of course, is Tyler Boyd, but he's not available in a lot of leagues. And the reason for that is I think that he'll be utilized. He's a good wide receiver 3-ish anyways, but if T. Higgins is gone, then he becomes that second focal point of that high-powered Cincinnati offense. The next wide receiver is going to be, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be Devon Duvernay. It would be more for the long term because he did have 2 touchdowns. There is a chance in a world, even though Rashad Bateman is more talented than Devon Duvernay, he ran a 4.3940, but I think there is a chance that Devon Duvernay ends up being the wide receiver 1 on this team, and we go, whoa, we didn't see that coming. We thought it was going to be Rashad Bateman. We kept thinking that. And Rashad Bateman was hurt a bunch last year as well, and we always had the focal point of Rashad Bateman. And so I think that there's a potential possibility that Devon Duvernay is the number 1 wide receiver of this offense. And if that is the case, even though it's a low passing volume offense, he would be my number 1 option there. The other kind of situations are kind of frustrating because there's 2 wide receivers that did well in both situations, or I guess 2 options. And it's going to be the Chargers, it's going to be the Commanders. I don't even like the name Commanders. It just sounds so horrible. But anyways, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, who do you want to pick up? You have Curtis Samuel, who's a former second round pick, who is the team high 11 targets and showed that he was performing well, or you have Jahan Dotson, the rookie. I think, honestly, Jahan Dotson looked great. Carson Wentz is not going to be able to have 3, 4 options that are going to be successful in the passing game. It's not going to happen. So where do you feel like that's going to go? I think it's going to be Curtis Samuel. I think Jahan Dotson is going to have these flashy plays, but he's going to be, just the volume is not going to be there for Jahan Dotson. So I would just lean Curtis Samuel over Jahan Dotson if you were to pick right now. And so not that I think Curtis Samuel is more talented, it's just I think this year you're looking at Curtis Samuel being potentially involved in the offense slightly more. Josh Palmer, DeAndre Carter. I still believe in Josh Palmer over DeAndre Carter, even though that DeAndre Carter had a much better week 1 over Josh Palmer, who had an absolutely stink fest. But Josh Palmer, I believe, they've talked about him a lot. I know a lot of people that was their biggest sleeper. I've always been down on Josh Palmer because I didn't think he was very talented, and I didn't think, even the talent-wise, I didn't think you saw his rookie year, and he didn't perform, and we saw the rookie stats, his performance-wise, what that predicted for the future, which is not great. But in a situation where he has Herbert, and there is really not much left, I mean, you have Mike Williams, who's a big boomer bust, but Keenan Allen being at least gone short term. Week 2 is a great fill-in here. I think Josh Palmer is going to step it up and be the second best player behind Mike Williams. And then we're going to talk about the tight end, of course, Gerald Everett. I think he's also a very good tight end that you could potentially pick up in some leagues. And then you have, of course, the cheat code, Taysom Hill, which I don't understand why. He's a positionless player, I tell you. He had all this rushing yards and stuff, but I think Taysom Hill is an option. Again, you look at the Denver team and the Seattle teams. I know some people picked Albert O and Noah Fant late when it came to tight ends and redraft. And really, those 2 players seem like they're almost going to be unstartable because of their tight end committee type things. This is where you can get a Taysom Hill. You can do a Gerald Everett. Or you can even do like a Hayden Hurst in Cincinnati. I think that he showed that he could potentially be involved in the offense a little bit more and more as the season progresses and he gets a little bit more rapport with Joe Burrow. So again, this is Marcus with Dynasty Fun Dads. Peace out. Oh yeah, not peace out quite yet. Let me know what Dynasty trade questions you have. We might do that at the end of the week here. I will see you guys tomorrow.